Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Little Rock Board of Directors meeting for August 7th, 2018. I'd like to welcome everyone who's in City Hall here with us that's in attendance as we set about to do the city's business. So with that said, Madam Clerk, if you would please read the roll.
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Peck, Director Hines,
Present.
Director Wright,
Here.
Director Wyrick, Director Compuris, Director Fortson, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Webb, Mayor Stodler.
Here. Let me call on City Director Dean Compuris for our invocation, please.
Tom's gonna do it. Tom Carpenter's gonna do it.
You're passing the torch?
Yes.
All right, very good. Mr. Carpenter?
And he's trusting the lawyer. If we could bow our heads, please. There are many problems that have to be addressed. We cannot address them all. We can address the ones that come before us tonight, but we need to do so with wisdom. We need to do so with objectivity, and we need to do so humbly. We ask that these things guide our thoughts tonight as we deal with the various questions that are faced by the City of Little Rock and by this board. We ask for grace and peace for those who represent the city, those who protect the city, those who protect the citizens. And we ask to be able to meet in fellowship and find a one true spirit that is dedicated to achieving the best. Amen.
If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business is a special presentation. I'm going to turn the gavel over to Vice Mayor Webb for this presentation, and I'll see you down there. As many of you know, a little more than a month ago, we lost a very, very special friend to cities, not only here, the city of Little Rock, but every city in the state, all 500 of them, as well as a man who had dedicated himself to the importance of local government nationwide, having served as the executive director of the Arkansas Municipal League for 52 years. Don Zimmerman passed away tragically, being afflicted with some serious illnesses that took his life way too short. And in light of that, we are recognizing the fact that on August 10th, just a couple days from now, would be his birthday. So I have a proclamation here that I'd like to read in recognition of a very special birthday that's going to be coming up in a couple of days. And it reads as follows: Know ye all people by these presents greetings. Whereas Don Zimmerman of Little Rock was the longtime executive director of the Arkansas Municipal League and a true champion and friend of cities and towns of his beloved state, died on Sunday, June 24th, 2018, at the age of 75. And whereas Don was a transformational figure for local governments and worked tirelessly on their behalf, securing federal aid and advocating state legislation, helping cities. And whereas Don created the Municipal Legal Defense Program, the Municipal Health Benefit Fund, the Municipal League Workers' Compensation Trust, the Firefighter Supplemental Income Protection and Death Benefit Program, and the Municipal Vehicle and Property Programs, saving Arkansas cities and towns millions of dollars over the last 3 decades. And whereas Don worked toward the passage of legislation allowing a local option sales tax, the State Aid City Street Program, Amendment 97 for Economic Development, and most recently led the effort to bring litigation against the opioid industry to help alleviate the opioid epidemic in Arkansas. And whereas just days before his passing, through a U.S. Supreme Court decision, Don helped pave the way for cities and towns to collect sales taxes from online retailers. And whereas Don Zimmerman's vision and dedication have transformed cities across Arkansas, helping them to grow and thrive, now therefore I, Mark Stodola, Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim August 10th, 2018 as Don Zimmerman Day here in the City of Little Rock. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal to be affixed on this 10th day of August, 2018. So I'm very, very happy to present this proclamation to his spouse, his widow, Jan Zimmerman. Jan? I'm going to let Jan say a few things and let her introduce her family. I think all over here.
They are.
about.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor Stodola, and thank you, City Board, City Attorney, City Manager, and clerks. You were all Don's family, and you had a place right at the table with all of us. My adult children, I have two here tonight. My bonus daughter is on vacation, and she regrets not being here, Gigi Millard. I have my son, Bo Brister, and my daughter, Lee May, and I have other grandparents, Kathy and Rob Millard. And then I'll let each one of my grandchildren just tell you a little bit about why their grandfather was special to them, and we'll be brief. But Don loved city government, I think, from infancy. We've always joked that he came exactly from the hospital to a municipal league building, and I really do think that was true. At the end of his life, we were all caught off guard. No one expected the horrible diagnosis that we were given, just thinking that Don had had a stroke. And he had rehabbed beautifully. We thought everything was fine, and then he had another massive stroke that left him blind and unable to move, and he couldn't breathe or eat. And so at that point, we were like, we can't believe this is the hand that he's being dealt. So that was followed up a day or two later by the diagnosis that he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer that was undiagnosed. It had metastasized in his liver and his pelvic area. And for someone that went to the doctor every 6 months, I still can't quite figure that out, but that's a tough cancer. The day he got his cancer diagnosis and he knew that he would never be coming home again, he also got the great news that the Supreme Court, with Justice Kennedy writing the majority opinion, that sales tax would be provided to all the cities. That is a battle that he, my children, and my grandchildren have fought for 24 years, every day. And he was so thrilled. He was able to squeeze my hand, and I said, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" And he did. So from that, we went to hospice, and then, of course, he died a couple of days later. The cancer was a lot worse than we had ever imagined. But I hope that I will stay involved with you all and see you and be a part of the great work that you're doing. I feel like, you know, you're a warrior in the trenches, and there's so much to be done, and everybody has such a special role. And Don would have been so thrilled today to think that you would want to celebrate his birthday and give him such a wonderful proclamation. So I thank you all. Okay, these are my, thank you. Okay, we have 7 grandchildren, so a lot of you know that we famously had 3 grandchildren in 3 weeks one time. So, you know, we've lived to tell the story, but they're all best friends. And who would like to start? Owen or Garrison? You're oldest. Come on, darling.
Hi, I'm Garrison, and my favorite thing about our grandfather was when he would take us to the lake and teach us how to fish.
Hello, my name is Owen May, and my favorite thing about my grandfather was the advice that he gave me in order to help me in my academic career.
Hi. Oh, wait. Here we go. Hi, my name is Finn, and my favorite thing about Vicky is whenever he took us to the lake and taught me how to overcome my fear of tubing.
Uh-huh.
Hi, my name is Mary Evelyn, and my favorite thing about our grandfather is how he would last call him Big Baby.
Big
Hi, my name is Austin. My favorite thing about my grandpa is he would take us to baseball games.
My name is Madison, and my favorite thing about our grandfather was that he used to play this game called the Love Trap, which you would have to kiss him to get out of it.
Hi, my name is Cooper, and my favorite thing about our grandfather is to at the lake he taught us how to dube and fish.
So I hope that you all see another side of Don that you probably didn't know existed. He was a very loved and cherished grandfather with very many fun memories to these precious littles. But we have memories. We're so thankful for those. And again, I'm so grateful for this proclamation. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jan, and as you know, Don is going to be very deeply missed. His experience and expertise and everything that he contributed certainly makes a great deal of difference to our cities and towns throughout the state. So thank you, and thank you all for being with us tonight. I wish you all very well. And you're so brave to get up here and talk to us on the microphone. You know you all were on TV, by the way, so you can go back and watch it if you want to. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, we can now move on to our printed agenda. And you'll notice that there are two deferrals that are being requested. An ordinance number 18, dealing with a franchise agreement, and a resolution on the Parks and Tourism grant.
When I came in.
Is there a motion to defer?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Both of these items will be deferred if you will note those on your agenda.
Mayor.
And then we can go ahead. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Point of order, Director Wright and I discussed on ordinance number 20, we got the answers we needed on that, and we're okay with moving that back to grouped items, if it's okay with the rest of the board.
Okay, without objection, we'll move ordinance 20, is that right?
Yes.
To the grouped items on ordinances. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of a resolution to set August 21st, 2018 as the date of public hearing on an appeal of the Planning Commission's action in the denial of a planned zoning development titled 9010 Hilero Springs Road, short form PCD, located at, I don't know if that, is it, I'm sorry, is that a typo? Is it 9010 or 9120?
Specific enough. You do?
90120. Okay, I'm gonna start over on that one. A resolution to set August 21st, 2018 as the date of public hearing on an appeal of the Planning Commission's action in the denial of a planned zoning development titled 90120 Hilero Springs, short form PCD, located at 90120 Hilero Springs Road in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the city manager to award a contract to J-Con Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $155,218 for the construction of the Main Street and Roosevelt Road sidewalks, and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8-cent capital improvement sales tax. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Redstone Construction Group in an amount not to exceed $457,705.20 for the Chateau Drainage Improvement Project, and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8-cent capital improvement sales tax. A resolution authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with Mobley Contractors Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $946,354.50 for the Briarwood Ditch Drainage Improvement Project and for the purposes, funding from the 2012 3/8 capital improvement sales tax. A resolution to authorize the city manager to award a contract to Terracon Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $112,642 for engineering services for the partial closure of Cell 4 of the Class 1 landfill and for the purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with River City Hydraulic Company in a total purchase price of $366,898.40 for the purchase of 2 rear loader sanitation trucks for the Public Works Department and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with MHC Kenworth in the total amount of $151,828.39 for the purchase of a fuel truck for the Public Works Department and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Central Arkansas Library System to manage a grant to conduct a citywide anti-hunger campaign to address hunger in the community and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Cone Elevator to provide elevator repairs on an as-needed basis and for the purposes. A resolution to encourage Governor Asa Hutchinson to consider a special session to make appropriate changes to Arkansas state law so that sales and compensating use taxes on internet sales may be collected and distributed. And for the purposes, that concludes the consent agenda.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The consent agenda is passed. We now move on to citizen communication. And I have 2 cards here. The first card is from Catherine Donald concerning trash and household items on the curbs.
Good evening. I am here to voice my concern. Over the last 9 months, I have noticed a growing phenomenon, rapidly growing, I might add, in the area in which I live. As I go and come, and I have several routes that I utilize, there is a problem with, in single-family homes, on the front lawn, people moving or houses being renovated, but at the end of the day, what happens is large household items being placed on the curb, and they remain there for weeks at a time. And I'm not talking about small, I'm talking about things such as mattresses, refrigerators, office furniture, TVs inside of TV stands, and the list goes on and on and on. And I just noticed this about 9 months ago, and it is growing, increasing in numbers as I drive up and down Pleasant Forest, as I drive up and down Sam Peck. Even 2 weeks ago, driving on Rodney Parham, heading into my to home, there was a leather sofa and a love seat out on the curb. Just this morning, I leave my house, and the neighbor in the cul-de-sac where I live, we have a barbecue grill and some other household furniture there. So I'm just here to ask, number one, because perhaps I don't know, maybe there was a policy or something passed about 9-10 months ago. Or if not, what can the city do? What can we do to help address this? Because it is growing, and I believe when people see it, they think it's okay, so the next person is doing it. So we have this rapidly increasing number of this occurring. And this is just where I live. And I'm sure it may be happening all over the city, but it is a concern to me, and I wanted to bring it to your attention this evening. So,
Thank you, Catherine.
thank you.
Mr. Moore, would you, for the purpose of people who may be listening or watching, explain what our city policy is and how the procedure works? Certainly, we agree with you. We don't like to see people leaving furniture and items like that on the curb, and there is a procedure for that. Bruce, if you would explain that, please.
Sure. Those items are type that Ms. Donald described are bulky items. And if an individual will call 311 and tell them what they have to put out, then we'll give them a date and time. We ask them not to put it out until the day of or the night before. But our challenge is people aren't doing that. They just put it out on the curb, and the expectation is that the city's going to come pick it up. And that's something we have talked about. We even had some meetings this week to kind of talk about the expectations of the citizenry. But bulky items, if you follow the system, we'll get those picked up fairly quickly. It's the ones that are put out there and not called in that are the challenge. Oh, we have also not only calling 311, but we have a mobile app on our website and that you can download on the phone, and that goes directly to 311 and directly to Public Works.
And that probably goes for good citizens like you who drive by and see it. If you note the location and call that in, that certainly is of assistance to us. I know we have neighborhood resource officers out there in certain areas of the city who are trying to catch all of those things, because there are people who don't have the courtesy to call and say they're going to be leaving those bulky items out. But that would certainly be helpful as well. Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to comment on and say to the public is that sometimes you call that 311 or whatever it is, and people call me. So, Mr. Moore, I disagree with you that when they call that number, sometimes people say they call it and it may be a whole week, but it's not your fault. It's just that something's wrong somewhere. But I wanted to let the audience know, ever since I've been sitting on this board, there needs to be a law where landlords have a responsibility for tenants sitting this stuff on the curb. But I have made any success. Nobody up here wants to agree with me. But I do not think that our workers that work on these trucks have to pick up toilet seats, refrigerators. That's not their job. And that's the reason why we have a low attendance of employees that work in that department. You may not know that, but I'm telling you that. And again, it's because of the pay that they receive. Thank you.
Director Wyrick, you're recognized, please.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming forward and addressing that issue. We in Ward 7 have the same issue, and I drive through the neighborhoods and turn in addresses and talk to the neighborhood associations that if they drive by a location and there is something there, mattresses, whatever, to call 311. And there's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, don't know to do that or will not do that. And I think that's what's given us the biggest pain, is the fact that people do not call to have it picked up. But I spend a lot of time driving through neighborhoods and reporting locations. The staff doesn't like me doing that, but I just worry about it not getting done. So I appreciate you coming forward and addressing that. And if you have a neighborhood association, if you would tell them what the process is, and if you see things, turn them into 311. Thank you for coming.
Director Peck, you're recognized, please.
Thanks, Mayor. And it sounds like you live in Ward 4, as do I, and we're probably talking about a mattress and box springs on Sandpeck Road for a couple of weeks. I see it every day. So I just want to encourage you to get the app, and I will also post some information. It's so easy to use. I think it's better than calling because you can put your request in, you can track it day by day. It's simple to use. I'm technologically challenged, but I can use it. So use it, and I'll do a social media post about it. But you're right, it is getting worse. But report it, and it'll get taken care of. Thanks.
Director Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we have a similar problem in Ward 6, and Director Hendricks, I totally agree with you about these landlords. You know, I've told you that before. I've told this board that. I've actually taken the step to write the letter for the city and send it to the manager for him to review, so that we could let our landlords know what the process and the procedure is, so they can address this with their tenants, and even included in their lease that the tenants need to follow the city's procedure for disposing of these items, and that would help our neighborhoods look a whole lot better. But I think education is the key, making sure that everybody knows that we have that app. You just can't tell people something one time and expect them to get it. I think we just need to do more education as far as what's going on in our neighborhoods, and it's our responsibility as residents to maintain our properties. And I think that they're relying on the city to do what they should be doing. And Mr. Moore, when we take our neighborhood tour, I believe on the 9th, I'm going to be sharing some things with you and showing you some sites. So hopefully we can do a little bit to get this cleaned up, but people are going to have to call these bulky items in, and mattresses and TVs, and I see it every day too. So it is very, very frustrating, and it is something that's been going on and on and on. It doesn't seem like there's an end in sight, but I believe if we keep working at it, we'll see some relief. You're welcome.
Mr. Moore, if you would you check and see about the placement of a notice in the utility bills? I believe there's a way where we could hopefully draw people's attention to it in a way that'll remind them of that and of the procedure that's going to be used for, that is being used for it, and see if we can't get some greater communication and attention to our citizens.
We will. We're, in fact, meeting, I believe, this week with Treasury and the City Attorney's Office to kind of talk about the best way to get that notice out. So we'll consider utility bills too. That's usually a little charge, but we'll look at it.
Well, it sounds like it might be a worthwhile charge. Director Hendricks.
I'm asking that Attorney Carpenter will start working on an ordinance or whatever we need. Let's see if we can get that passed again to deal with the landlords. Most of our landlords are Caucasians, and I have said boldly that's the reason why this board has not put that law in effect. Thank you.
Well, Director Hendricks, I think that there's probably quite a number of people who would challenge you on that conclusion. So I hate to let things like that are quite exaggerated go unanswered. Very good. All right, our next card is from Mr. Luke Scrable.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you for granting me the privilege to exercise my First Amendment rights. I know this is pretty perverse and crazy, but I think Director Hendricks' idea is pretty good. I think you are a little off. I live in Southwest, and there's a lot of non-white landlords out there. I wanted to start off with saying I didn't appreciate the city manager and assistant city attorney interrupting my free speech last week. They weren't in attendance at the 7-2 meeting. I turned in a card asking for this board to use their authority to clean up false charges on my police record. I came the second week, the 17th, to find out what you had done. If you would look at the cards, you'll see that they're different. I don't appreciate it. The law's not real. It's never been signed into law, so please don't use your one-time rule. I watched the mayor forum. It was disappointing. The biggest problem is they weren't asking the right questions. They weren't focusing on the problems that we need to alleviate, which is having honest and ethical tax leadership. When this board here will lie and cheat and steal from us, and then when you bring the evidence of other city employees doing that, and you don't use your authority, how can we look at you with any credibility? Are we supposed to respect you and support you with our taxes? I had last week been shut down 21 times. The police department does not have written policies designating how you would properly investigate a crime. I saw Director Richardson at Walmart over the weekend. I mentioned this, and what did he think? I said, they're out of line. Mr. Rakup is already sued and won a couple times against the police department and the chief, and I said he's getting pretty rough. And Director Richardson replied to me that I get pretty rough up here. Well, all I've ever done, and this is my 81 time up here at this podium, is I've just told you the truth. If you're scared of the truth, I'm not going to apologize, because I'm looking out for Luke's soul and obeying God's law. He don't like lying. If you look at the 9th commandment of God, he don't like you bearing false witness. So if it scares you because I come up here and tell the truth, that's your problem. It ain't my problem. Thank y'all.
Good night, Mr. Scrabel. Okay, we can now move on. That completes our citizen communication cards.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I think the board needs to know that you are being asked consistently to change a public record. And the fact that you're being asked that is wrong, because think what would happen if we just went back and changed public records because somebody asked us to. There is a procedure that somebody can pursue in court in which they can ask a judge to deal with records, to seal records, to change records. In this particular instance, what Mr. Scrabel is talking about is a misunderstanding on his part and his refusal to accept the explanation. There is a code that he thought meant robbery, and there was some information given to him that was not correct. But when the correct information was given to him, that the code means information, and what it basically means is that when a detective or police officer, for example, talks to a witness and writes out, I talked to witness Jones on this date at this time, it's coded as information. He wants to believe that's coded as robbery, and he refuses to accept the truth. And so the sad thing is that he doesn't want to take the steps necessary to do what is required under the law. He just wants to criticize the law.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, we can now move on to our grouped items, which are groups 11 through 18, and including, well, I'm sorry, we're deferring item 18, but so it's with that exception and adding ordinance 20 to the grouped items. I think our clerk got that understood. Thank you.
An ordinance to amend the River Market Design Overlay District, Chapter 36, Sections 36-350 through 36-367, pursuant to the Design Overlay Authority of Chapter 36 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lumber One, Longfork PCD, located at 10,800 Colonel Glen Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned office district titled Metropolitan Housing Authority, Powell Towers, short form POD, located at 1010 Wolf Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned industrial district titled Showroom Ready, short form PID, located at 10,118 Colonel Glen Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned office district titled Geyer Springs First Baptist Church, short form PDO, located at 12,400 Interstate 30, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 19,915 of February the 5th, 2008, titled The House of Vision, short form POD, located at 1921 Wright Avenue in the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 19,246 of December 7th, 2004, to add the September 2015 capital improvement plans as additional projects to be included in the project plan to declare an emergency and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lots 7 through 9, Colonel Glen Tech Center, Longform PCD, located on the northeast corner of South Bowman Road and Colonel Glen Plaza Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. First reading.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place these ordinances on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to amend the River Market Design Overlay District, Chapter 36, Sections 36-350 through 36-367, pursuant to the Design Overlay Authority of Chapter 36 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lumber One, Longform PCD, located at 10,800 Colonel Glen Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned office district titled Metropolitan Housing Authority, Powell Towers, short form POD, located at 1010 Wolf Street. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned industrial district titled Showroom Ready, short form PID, located at 10,118 Colonel Glen Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned office Office District titled Geyer Springs First Baptist Church, short form PDO, located at 12,400 Interstate 30. An ordinance to appeal ordinance number 19,915 titled The House of Vision, short form POD, located at 1921 Wright Avenue. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas, ordinance number 19,246 to add the September 2015 capital improvements plans as additional projects to be included in the project plan to declare an emergency. An ordinance to approve the plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lots 7 through 9, Colonel Glenn Tech Center, long form PCD, located on the northeast corner of South Bowman Road and Colonel Glenn Plaza Drive. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place these ordinances on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to amend the River Market Design Overlay District, Chapter 36, Section 36-350 through 36-367, pursuant to the Design Overlay Authority of Chapter 36 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lumber One, long form PCD, located at 10,800 Colonel Glenn Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan office district titled Metropolitan Housing Authority, Powell Tower, short from POD, located at 1010 Wolf Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan industrial district titled Showroom Ready, short form PID, located at 10,118 Colonel Glenn Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan office district titled Geyer Springs First Baptist Church, short form PDO, located at 12,400 Interstate 30. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 19,915 titled The House of Vision, short form POD, located at 1921 Wright Avenue. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas, ordinance number 19,246 to add the September 2015 capital improvements plan as additional projects to be included in the project plan to declare an emergency. An ordinance to approve the plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Lots 7 through 9, Colonel Glenn Tech Center, long form PCD, located on the northeast corner of South Bowman Road and Colonel Glenn Plaza Drive. Third and final reading.
Thank you. Are there any questions about any of these ordinances? Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the passage of these ordinances indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ordinances have passed. Before we move on to the individual,
On ordinance 17.
okay, I was just looking for that. Yes, and on the emergency clause on item 17, all in favor of the emergency clause indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The emergency clause is also passed. Before we move to the reading of the two separate items, items 21 and 22, let me recognize former City Director Johnny Pugh, who's with us in the audience. Johnny, welcome. Glad to have you with us. You must be missing us. I guess that's why you're here, right?
No, she has a complaint.
Well, we're happy to have you. We're happy to have you back, and I'm sure you remember being up here and making a couple of votes like we've just done.
Mayor, would you let me tell you why she's here? She talked to me.
If you'll turn your microphone on.
Ready? I would like to share with you that Mrs. Pugh did share with me before the meeting that she's concerned about the large containers that still remain on 30, what 100 block is that, Ms. Pugh? 1500 block. The trailers that the young man wanted to build his home and all of that. So she's wanting us to have those
Those trailers are still there?
Yeah, they're still there. I've seen them.
And people are going and staying in them and
Mr. Moore, do you have any update on, this is that gentleman that wanted to build a house out of the trailers and
Out of a trailer.
was turned down?
Yeah, they got a citation.
I'll get the information to you.
They got a citation when? They're going to be in court, Director Pugh, at August 15th in an environmental court. So they've been cited. He knows they're supposed to be removed, and so we'll see him in court.
Yeah, he refused to do it. Thank you.
also we need a grocery store.
Well, we agree, and we've been trying to convince some of these grocery stores to come, but,
That's right, we certainly need one because you think about, you know how far the Kroger's on both ends,
yes, ma'am.
and we right in the middle.
Okay, we can now move on to the individual reading of ordinance number 21, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Britt, short form PDC, located at 10,111 Chico Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes first reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Britt, short form PDC, located at 10,111 Chico Road. Second reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Britt, short form PDC, located at 10,111 Chico Road. Third and final reading.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir. Come forward, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Well, I was just trying to open up a small sewer and drain cleaning company, so that's why I'm here today.
And so you've been before the Planning Commission, is that
Ye-
right?
Yes, sir.
And they recommended approval, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see if there's any questions by any of the directors. Director Adcock, you're
I
recognized, please.
thought this was just to park the vehicle at his home, but he says he's going to operate a business out of that location.
May I interrupt? Actually, won't nobody be coming to the residence. I'm just parking the van there, and that's basically it. Won't be no business basically done from my home.
But that is going to be your business address.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you applied for a permit to
I
have
ha-
a business at that location?
I have not. I believe I have. With Donna James, she's handling it with me, so.
No, this was with the Treasury Department.
I have
Where you
not.
get a permit to operate a business out of that home.
Okay, I thought I had to go through this first and then go for the permit after this is done. She's helping me, taking me through the steps, because I'm lost on the business part. I can go out and do the work, but I'm gonna need help on some things.
How
This
big is
something
this
I wanna
truck?
do.
Because we have
I
lots
have a
of
picture
people.
of it, it's just a van, just a regular sized van.
I'd like to see it, please.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a lots of neighborhoods that call us and talk to us about having commercial vehicles in their neighborhood.
I understand. May I walk over?
Yes, please. Okay.
A little regular commercial van.
Okay, it doesn't have any writing on it?
I do now, I just had my name put on it the other day.
Okay.
It's Rick Ruder, and that's it. Rick Ruder, phone number. Ma'am? That's what I do now for another company.
All right, Director Adcock, do you have any other questions?
No questions, just a
All right.
comment.
Uh,
We have a problem in all the neighborhoods, Cloverdale and other ones, about commercial vehicles being parked at people's homes, and particularly if they're operating a business out of that location. Thank you.
Director Richardson.
Point of clarification, Mayor, did we not have staff answer these questions last week with respect to the size of the van? We didn't talk anything about the writing. I think there was a question about the size. Somebody made reference to us having large commercial vehicles, big vehicles. I think staff, in fact, told us that the size of the van that the young man just showed us was going to be the size of the van we were talking about. So I thought we had this answered by staff last week.
Well, maybe so, very well, but certainly directors are entitled to ask questions of the
Sure.
applicant.
No,
The
no,
applicant-
I'm not
The applicant wasn't
disputing.
here was not here last week, so, thank you for showing us, just a normal van, right? I mean.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. All right, Director Wright.
So this will be like a home office, and you're going out to just do business?
Yes, ma'am.
And coming back and parking your vehicle?
And that's it.
And you have off-street parking in your driveway,
Like,
so
the
it won't be
vehicle
on the
basically
street?
Not seen too good from the street, because it's parked all the way up, so.
Okay.
Director Wyrick.
Could Jamie Collins come forward, or did he leave? Oh, there he is. I see him. Yeah, he was hiding. Thank you. My question is, this is a planned commercial district PCD. And so, if this gentleman decides to, sell this property, then, it will revert back to residential?
Right, no, it won't revert back to residential. If whoever occupies it, they'd have to occupy it for the same exact use as this PDC for what
Okay.
he's doing. Because he's requested a rezoning from a plan development which was office use. So it'd come before the board again, if not for the same type of use.
Okay. So, I guess the concern is commercial, in a residential area. So, if someone came in and wanted to do the same business he has, park the same kind of truck, on the property, then they could go in without a rezoning.
That's correct, same thing, because there was stipulations put in, the planning commission heard it about the storage of, parts or plumbing equipment.
Okay.
And that was part of that PDC.
Okay, I didn't read the write-up. Did you get a letter from Southwest United for Progress about this? I remember this coming up at their meeting.
They were notified, we did not get the letter.
Okay, all right. I think we were neutral on it at that meeting, so, okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes the questions on this matter. All in favor of the passage of the ordinance indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, saying nay. The ordinance is passed.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, let's have the first reading of ordinance number 22, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Townhouse Apartment, short form PDR, located at 15,901 Taylor Loop Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes first reading.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Townhouse Apartment, short form PDR, located at 15,901 Taylor Loop Road, second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled the Townhouse Apartment, short form PDR, located at 15,901 Taylor Loop Road, third and final reading.
Thank you. Is the applicant present, please? If you'll come forward. Mayor, board. If you could go ahead and explain your desire.
My name's Gordon Duckworth, the architect, working for McKinley Adams is the developer. And we've been through the...
If you'll pull that microphone a little closer to you.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, we'd like you to outline for us what this request is of the board. We note that, we noted, and there was discussion last week, that it was a split vote at the planning commission. There were 6 people that favor it.
Yes.
And 3 that voted against it, and so
Right.
I think the board would like to know a little bit more from the applicant about what his intentions are.
Okay, so we had a property that was a little over, not even quite 1 acre, along Taylor Loop and along Gooch Road. In order to increase the width of the road, put in sidewalks. It actually made the lot smaller. Originally, we were going for 8, and Public Works advised us that we needed to take into consideration the stormwater runoff. There was some recent improvements made out there by Gooch, and some of the neighbors downstream were concerned that the footprint of there's 4 units on one side and 2 on the other, and we are going to regrade. We're going to pick the finished floor elevation up high enough that there will be no flooding. Also, there's going to be some retention areas. One would be a retention, kind of a pond holding area, and then there will also be a swale on the back side of the property. Some of the neighbors were concerned downstream, but actually the development upstream from this property, we were really less than 1/10 of 1% of, if you can consider the whole area of the neighborhoods, that our project wouldn't have any impact, any real impact downstream. So we've had the survey was made, the contours, the regrading was done, and I think everyone was satisfied. We're going to put in 2-story units, parking and living below, and bedrooms upstairs, and it'll be like a little could be converted to condos. We're taking into consideration that it could even be condos. So if they change from apartments, then you would have some responsible people in there that were living there.
Director Hines, you're recognized, please.
So, because I went by and redrove the area, so is the stormwater retention on the east side of the property? Scott, can you bring up the sketch?
It'd be up there in the northwest or northeast corner. And then the 4 units on the south property, there's a drainage swale running from west to east. There's a natural swale or creek, if you would, on the east side. The improvements that were made on the west side across Gooch Drive, actually there's what we call riprap. There's geotextile fabric because the creek actually curves from left to right, and then when it hits Gooch, it actually makes a turn and goes under Taylor Loop, crosses over, and is actually the creek and retaining walls in front of the residence that's directly across from this property. But that residence is not really threatened. It's the people that are, a quarter of a mile, half a mile downstream.
Right. And so, did you guys happen to bring any elevations or sketches of what these are going to look like? That was the other, because I drove by. I know we've got some condominium townhome style residences to the east of this, and I have 2 concerns. Is you're bringing multifamily rental into an area that is all single family owner. I know on the west side of this property, when we did the improvements, and I guess John can verify, we built a berm to segregate that water in that collection area, right, John? So, and my concern is, and John, you can come up and tell me, the remediation they're going to do on the eastern part, it's pretty overgrown. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot, and that was my other concern, is what kind of work are they going to do in that corner to allow for more retention on that side of the road?
The process that we went through with the applicant is we did our best calculations of the volume of storage that's available on the parcel of property now, the existing conditions. And what we did with them is they worked to regrade the site to actually get a little more volume by moving dirt, digging it lower in some areas, maybe raising it in some areas where they're actually going to be building these units. And we ended up with a fraction of more storage capability on their site. And most of that's occurring in that, see where the 25-foot setback?
Right, in that northeast
sort of in
corner,
that quadrant
right.
of the property is where they've regraded to create that volume to try to have storage on their
Right, so
site,
we don't
similar to
get
what
any,
exists now.
so we don't get overtopping on Taylor Loop.
Yes, sir.
All right, because that was, when I went by and looked at the site, that was a concern. All right, that answers my question. Another question for Art. So is this wood siding, hardy back, or what's the fronts and backs on this development? Based on your sketch.
Sir, have you ever worked with an architect and a client and an owner? You know, at this stage of the game, things change. They actually want to put some brick down at the lower level and then go with what we call shiplap siding. It could be hardy, it could be a vinyl product, it could be cedar, it could be wood.
Okay, well,
But it's what we call a craftsman style or a transitional style.
right. Okay, here, I can pass these around to everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to see those.
Okay. All right. And here's my concern and maybe you need to relay this to your client when they're coming before us to change the nature of development, which has been traditionally single family, and to add a multifamily component that's not single owner, that details need to be, given to us, because based on what the development to the east of this, that sort of looks similar. The colors, I'd say everything there, it's probably a little more bold than what's built there.
Yeah.
You know, it's looking at the house that's there, this would be an improvement. I'm just questioning the nature of whether or not this is gonna be rental or condominium. Is a big difference.
We've met with our engineers, and as far as the metering and the way we distribute power and gas and water, it'll be easily convertible. Also, I might add that the condominiums just to the east, it's not just single family out there.
No, that's what I'm saying, but it's condominiums that are single owner.
Yeah.
It's not rental.
Sure.
Rental. So there's a big difference. And when your client's saying we may go to condominium, I know better. So,
Yeah.
But I will say that based on what's there, on the existing lot, it's probably an improvement, so. I'm
Oh, it's
just trying
definitely an
to-
improvement. If nothing happens, then.
Right.
then
And there's
it'll
some
just-
improvements.
It'll just be a demolished house or a house that needs to be demolished. And
Okay.
it'll certainly improve the aesthetic of the neighborhood.
And John, Jamie, the only objectors to this were downstream based on water, not on the nature of the.
Yes, the objective was just downstream to the north, across that's their property.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
My question is to Jamie. Jamie, I'm concerned, how many complaints did you have
I have no idea.
during the planning commission meeting?
There was one registered objector, spoke against,
Okay,
this
I
development.
noticed that it's a 6 vote. Is that passable, a 6 vote from the commission?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Jamie, could you characterize for us, if you recall, what the objections were by the three commissioners that voted against this?
Well, the concerns with the commissioners, by, some of their verbiage they was talking about was more of the drainage-related issues about, essentially, some of the questions they were asking was, related to that whole drainage basin. And there has been improvements, along Taylor Loop that we've just done and working on in the area. But that area that this development is going in is a complicated drainage pattern. Essentially, it's split. Some of it does, and they explained it. It gets cut off right at Gooch and goes north and crosses Taylor Loop. And then the remainder or some other side drainage goes back to the east and crosses Taylor Loop. And then they join right together back behind the property that's across Taylor Loop. And then it goes down. That's where it ties into the floodplain that Director Hines was talking about and asking last week. And so there is drainage, issues and complaints that's been flowing through this area. And what we told the commission is that the applicant has done all that they could do to try to alleviate that the best they can in the acreage that they had. And we did remind them that they are below the 1 acre limit to do drainage. They were at 0.91. So what they done was to help the situation that's out there. They were below the 1 acre.
Okay, thank you. I've got one question. So by looking at the diagrams that you handed out, They are going to be enclosed garages, is that correct?
Correct. 2-car garages.
And I noticed in one of the designs that to try and break up the concrete massing that you have by putting these immediately together, there's a couple of trees that were planted. I hope you might consider how you can break up the massing of concrete by virtue of having all these front-loaded garages immediately adjacent to each other. It creates a big mass of concrete, and I don't think that's very attractive to the rest of the neighborhood.
I agree.
And I notice in these diagrams, they actually have planted trees.
Yes, and on the site, on the plan.
I'm not sure how they get into it because you got a fence in front of them, but.
The plan indicates trees that's
Yeah, I
behind
see the
Mr.
trees that are
Mayor.
there, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. When you see you've got basically you've got concrete for 4 vehicles in each one of these 3 sets of,
Yes. Well, the vehicles that you see are actually enclosed.
Right, I
So you
understand
won't
that.
see them. So you're really talking about the aprons that lead to the asphalt drive. And I understand, there's, Mayor, if you look at downtown Little Rock, you see all the parking lots
I know.
out there, and there's
That's
a
what we're-
heat sink, there's certain environmental issues that we all have to deal with, and we do the best we can.
I understand that, and that's what we're trying to avoid,
Yeah,
the
we
problems that
understand.
people created in the past.
I understand.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we can now vote on this matter. All in favor of the passage of the ordinance indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ordinance is passed. Thank you. Okay, we can now turn to item 23. Let me open up the public hearing and ask if there's anybody who wishes to speak either for or against this right-of-way abandonment. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the right-of-way abandonment? Seeing none, let me go ahead and close the public hearing and ask for a vote, or ask for a reading of the ordinance now.
An ordinance to abandon that portion of the 50-foot wide North Catillus Road right-of-way located in the northeast quarter, southwest quarter, section 13 of Township 2 North and Range 14 West in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
Suspend the rules and place on second reading.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to abandon that portion of the 50-foot wide North Catillus Road right-of-way located in the northeast quarter and southwest quarter of Section 13 of Township 2 North and Range 14 West in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Move suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to abandon that portion of the 50-foot wide North Catillus Road right-of-way located in the northeast quarter and southwest quarter of Section 13 of Township 2 North and Range 14 West in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Third and final reading.
Okay, all in favor of the passage of the ordinance indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ordinance is passed. We now can move into executive session for the purpose of appointments to boards and commissions. Is there a motion?
So,
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go into executive session for the purpose of appointments. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are going to be in recess for a relatively short period of time, and we'll be back momentarily. Thank you. Okay, we're back in session now, and for the purpose of appointments, and I'm going to go ahead and read these. First of all, I'd like to appoint Paul Parnell to the Arkansas Arts Center Board.
I am so embarrassed.
so
Is there a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mr. Parnell is confirmed. For the Arts and Culture Commission,
Did you know it was my daughter? Did you know it was-
I would like to appoint Denise Ennett.
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay, you did say Denise in it. Nay.
And Ms. Ennett is approved. For the Board of Adjustment, I would like to appoint Austin Grinder.
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. He is confirmed. For the Civil Service Commission, I would like to appoint Kara Boyd Connors.
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
She's confirmed. For the Community Housing Advisory Board, I would like to reappoint Michelle Sanders and appoint Rejeko Joe Bailey and Karen Coleman.
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Now, the three of those are approved. I would point out for anyone who's listening that we have 5 positions still available that are vacant, that are subject matter positions for people who represent a variety of different entities such as corporations, community development boards, landlords, real estate business interests, or lending institutions. So let me put the word out to everyone to try and see if we can fill those positions. For the Historic District Commission, I would like to reappoint Lauren Frederick and Francis M. McSwain.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. They're approved. For the Little Rock Port Authority, I'd like to appoint Clay McGeorge.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The two of them are confirmed. For the Little Rock Water Reclamation Board, I would like to reappoint Richard Mays and appoint Shwani Hightower and Lauren Waldrop Ward.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Yes, it is, Junior. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. They're confirmed. For the Little Rock Zoo,
So move.
I would like to appoint Sharman Moody. Is there a second?
So move.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Nay. They're approved. Or she's approved, excuse me. For the Oakland and Fraternal Historic Cemetery Park Board, for the purpose of, there are 3 positions open. I would like to reappoint Rhonda Stewart and Quindici. This will be to a 3rd term, and we believe for board continuity, dealing with the cemetery, it's important to keep people on there that have a unique expertise about the historic nature of this board. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. And I'd also like to reappoint Rita Hennard to the 3rd position. Is there a motion and a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. They're confirmed. And on the Rock Region Metropolitan Transit Authority Board, I'd like to appoint Michael Mason.
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. He is approved. And that concludes the appointments for this round. There's no other further business to come before us. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. We're in adjournment. Thank you.